Please welcome the creator of the Boondocks, Aaron McGruder.
Tavis thinks he's very kind. Thank you to all of you for being here. Thanks to the audience for C-SPAN. I've got my phone here to keep track of time, so if it goes off, I'm not trying to be, not trying to be a baller. I'm just trying to keep track of the time. So today we're talking about redefining the image, which, is comforting to me because I think oftentimes when we start to examine politics, in particular, public policy, what's going on in the world, sometimes those of us who lean towards the political left fail to understand the importance of image. This is a problem which costs us a great deal, both in terms of money, our cultural situation, and our political situation. I don't know how important it was decades past, before my time and before your time. But what people consistently underestimate today is how the nature of mass media has transformed society. 10 people control 90% of everything you see, read, and hear in this country. 10 people. And they want to tell you that Cuba has state-run media. 10 people. Who are those 10 people? Well, you can look them up. They're not hard to find. That, in and of itself, is problematic. When you consider that these 10 people all need permission from the U.S. government in order to have licenses, in order to buy other corporations, in order to do all the nefarious things they like to do, then you really understand what state-run media is. If Martin Luther King were alive today and he were in his 20s, nobody would know who he was because he would never get on TV. That's the difference between 2003 and 1953 or 1963. We live in a completely different era where information is more tightly controlled than it has ever been in the history of this country. What that really means is somebody can tell you black is white and night is day, and you will believe it. And not only that, the bigger the lie, the more likely you are to believe it. They told you for how many months that the attacks on New York and the Pentagon were the responsibility of Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. They told you that over and over and over and over again. And you know what? You believed it. Until they wanted to invade Iraq. Then they told you it was Saddam who did it. They just told you a completely different thing. And you know what? Nobody said anything. Everyone, oh, okay, sure. Now, you guys are smart, so I know some of y'all had to be asking questions. Some of y'all had to go, oh, this ain't sitting right. But the vast majority of Americans believed it. How many of y'all are old enough to remember, well, I guess none of you are old enough to remember Iran-Contra. I'm barely old enough to remember Iran-Contra. But I won't get into that. There is such a limited amount of truth available for you to acquire, to digest, and to apply. This is not an accident, and it's not just a conspiracy against black people. This is the world in which you live today. As leaders, the most important thing that you have to remember is that the nature of power changes. These people who run the world, they may not be good people, In fact, they're really, really bad people. But they're not stupid people. Rarely do they make the same mistakes twice. Meaning, whatever worked before, whatever strategies, whatever tactics, whatever plans were really successful 30, 40 years ago, they're not going to work anymore. They've learned those lessons. We're coming up on the anniversary of the March on Washington. One of the most memorable moments in American history, something that has ingrained itself in all of American culture, because we can look, we can remember all of us seeing the footage of all those people, Martin Luther King, the speech, the singing, all that stuff. It was a big deal. Then we had the Million Man March, 1995. We've seen that. That was the response. It wasn't that big a deal. It was a big deal for like a week. Y'all are probably too young to remember that, but you know, we all went, we felt good. It was like a moment. But there was something that felt a little old. And then there was a Million Mom March and a Million Black Women. There's been like 500,000 people marches since then. To the point that when we're on the verge of the Iraq War, actually after the Iraq War started, some 400,000 people march in New York City. And they don't even get on the news. This is what I mean when I say that the nature of power has changed. The Civil Rights Movement, what was so amazing about it was that there was a brand new tactic. Mass media was new. Television was new. And they realized that they could use this new thing to their advantage. That they would be showing people the oppression that black Americans face, and it would be beamed across the world. And it would be the first time these images were being seen in this nature. And they used it masterfully, and it worked wonderfully. But in 2003, nobody cares about your march and your picket sign. And even if they did, they'll never know what happened. Because you won't get on the news. This is what image is. This is what we're talking about. Wrestling control of information from those that have it and those that don't want to be honest. Those that want to use that information to put a stranglehold on the entire planet. So those same people who are, flipping through and they're watching Fox News and they're watching CNN and they're watching MSNBC and they're being told how popular the president is and all of that stuff. Then they flip a few channels over to BET and they watch You Act Like Idiots. And that's all they see. They only see you acting like idiots. And you can get mad if you want. You can go, that's the media. Okay, yeah, it's the media, but they're still watching you act like idiots. And every week there's somebody new on television acting like an idiot. And they look like you, and they dress like you, and they talk like you. Are y'all mad at that? But are you really mad? And if you are mad, the question becomes, what do you do about it? The interesting thing when you talk about the media and the media and the media and the media and the media, and they making us look bad. Well, one, please take responsibility for yourself, because, those are real black people up there looking bad. But two, it's really good to have these discussions of the media's doing this, the media's doing that. Well, guess what? Media's been doing the same thing for a minute, and they're going to keep doing it. So now that we've established that, we actually have to get into the very tough and unpleasant discussion of how to actually change the media. To that, you have to understand how the media works. You have to understand who these companies are that control everything you see and hear and read. You got to know about Viacom. You got to know about Sony. You got to know about News Corp, Disney, Bob Johnson. You have to understand the system that produces the images that you see. Many of us like to think it's a bunch of white people sitting around in a smoky room going, I wonder how to make black people look bad. I moved out to Hollywood about 4 years ago. And let me tell you, I wish it were that simple. But it is nowhere near that simple. The first thing to remember is that what drives this country is money and profit. Generally, most things that are going down today are going down because of money and profit. Absolutely. The wars, the peace, stocks, and every single TV show you watch. Believe me, what you see on television when you turn on CNN and you turn on MSNBC, that's entertainment. News is what people try to suppress. News is what they do not want you to know. What you're seeing is fun and games. What you're seeing is what's put out there to keep you stupid. Now, I know that sounds really conspiratorial and all of that stuff, but let me tell you, I've been in Hollywood for 4 years now. I've been working in the newspaper industry for a bit longer. Information is controlled, absolutely on every level. And then I have these discussions and people go, oh, right. Like the White House is really calling people, telling newspapers, don't run this story. They are. The White House calls newspapers, the White House calls musicians. Are you going to put a video out? Nah, we don't think you should do that. Don't get it twisted. It's that controlled. Everything you see is there because someone wants you to see it. So you figure out how the system works, and then you figure out, well, what's motivating the people behind the system? Why do they want you to see certain things? Why do they want black people looking silly? Well, it's simple. I mean, how many people have seen The Matrix? How many people have seen the second Matrix? Well, you got to see the second Matrix. Dr. West is in the second Matrix. The point is that struggles used to be organized and planned a bit differently. You used to be able to go, and there were communities, there were institutions in the community. People would go to a church, or they would go someplace, they would organize, they would meet, the movement would build, the ideology would spread, and action would take place. Why doesn't that happen now? Because everyone's getting their information from mass media. 90%, it's coming from there. So if it's not on TV, it doesn't exist. It's irrelevant. I can't knock on your door and say, brother, sister, join the revolution. You will laugh at me. You're like, what the hell are you thinking? I'm not joining anything. Who are you? I'm calling the police. I was having an argument with some young people in Cuba about this very thing. Why is there no revolution in the United States? Why is there no armed revolution like we had in Cuba? Simple. Americans have television and drugs. We're a little comfortable. Actually, you know what? We're really comfortable. And black people, we have it bad, and we somewhat self-aware, but we don't have it so bad that we're ready to pick up a gun. We don't even have it so bad that we're ready to go to jail. I only have 15 minutes. There's a lot to talk about here. But if nothing else, take away that strategy at this point is critical. The eyes on the prize routine ain't gonna work. Times have changed. One must move on. There is a very close similarity between Hollywood and politics. The right wing knows it, the left wing does not. That's why we run people like Al Gore and Ralph Nader for president. And I voted for Ralph Nader. Because we don't understand that you got to be a movie star in order to be elected president. Literally. And now you got to be a movie star to be elected governor of California. Ralph Nader is not the most charismatic guy. But you know what? Neither was Bush the first. How many people remember the first Bush? There we go. Well, Bush number one was this nerdy guy that nobody liked. He didn't have any charisma. He had a lot of power. But he really wasn't very photogenic. He just wasn't that guy. So they said, okay, we're going to stick you with Reagan. Reagan was a movie star. Everybody liked Reagan, at least everybody white. Reagan made white people feel good. Bush, nobody really cared about him. But he knew that the only way he was going to get to the White House was behind Reagan. Maybe it's a coincidence that right after he got in office, somebody tried to kill Reagan. I don't know. That would be a conspiracy. I don't get into conspiracy theories. But the point is that Ralph Nader does not need to be running for president. And thankfully this year he's not. Why? Image. Be smart enough to understand that it's image. If you're Ralph Nader, you don't run for president. Ralph Nader's the nerdy guy from high school you wouldn't hang out with. That's who Ralph Nader is. If you're Ralph Nader, you find a really good-looking guy who's articulate and handsome, and you tell him what to say. And he gets elected president. That's strategy. That's just taking that extra step. Like, you know what? Is it superficial? Yes. Is it silly? Yes. But it matters. I'm going to say this here because it's so important. Al Sharpton's haircut matters. It matters. Because he's running for president. It matters. Should it matter? No. But you know what? It does. That's image. Don't be naive about the power of mass media and the power of image. It controls more than you think. I sell angry black politics to 20 million white people a day. How do I do it? Because they're cute. That's it. That's the long and the short of it. If I drew characters that actually look like Huey P. Newton and Louis Farrakhan, I would be drawing this strip in my basement. Nobody would have ever seen it. I said, wow, I wonder what happens if you just take the politics that mainstream America hates and put it in a really cute package. How do they handle it? Hey, I'm seen by 30 million people on Sunday alone. Image. We often complain about black culture, how negative it is. We talk about rappers. We talk about, all the stuff when we talk about the objectification of women. We talk about the nihilism. We talk about all of this stuff. And these are all valid critiques. But one thing I know from the few rappers I do know, a lot of these guys who may not be the most positive guys, they are very serious about the business of entertainment in a way that a lot of the goody guys are not. Understand that no matter what message you have, you better be captivating your audience first, or nobody's going to listen. When I was in high school, 1988 to 1992, roughly, hip-hop wasn't where it is today. It wasn't bitches, it wasn't hoes. There was a lot of niggas, but, the self-destructive nature of where hip-hop is today, it wasn't there. It was actually cool then to be smart. There was like a sort of pro-black nationalism, Pan-Africanism thing happening in the culture around that time, and it was cool. Yeah, it was a fad, and like every fad, it passed, but it was cool in that moment in time to be a conscious black individual. Why? Because these people were also serious about the business of making good music, of being entertaining. Yes, we have problems with the gangster rappers of the world. Yes, we can make valid intellectual critiques of what they do, but you know what? They make hits. The Black Eyed Peas are corny. just be honest. They're corny. And look, I really like the fact that they don't talk about all the things. They don't talk about ICE, and they don't talk about, Bentleys and all. But you know what? I don't listen to them because they're corny. And you cannot move black people if you're corny. Black people are not checking for you if you're corny. Is that right? No. Is it fair? No. Is it kind of silly and superficial? Maybe. But tough. That's the world you live. It's okay to be positive, but still be good. We face this question a lot when you're in Hollywood. Positive black entertainment. And I'm all for positive black entertainment. But again, don't be boring, don't be corny. Find out how to reach your audience and reach them. That's the sophistication that is needed. There's a million black people standing around on a street corner talking politics, and nobody's listening. Nobody. There's a bunch of people with websites writing about conspiracies and writing about what black people need to do. It doesn't matter. The rules have changed. You want to have an impact? Reach people. You want to reach people? It is not easy, but you better figure out a way to do it. And if that means figuring out a way to get into government and breaking these monopolies so that there's actually competition, great. If that means starting a black network to compete with BET and get in 50, 60 million homes, great. But you better think of something. Because pretty soon the 90% that they control is going to be 95, and then it's going to be 99. The type of media control that we're facing now, the impact is staggering on us, black people. We really like to think of ourselves as the most creative geniuses on the planet, right? What the hell is so creative about 13 years of gangster rap? Nothing in rap music has changed in about 13 years. And we're supposed to be so brilliant. We're supposed to be, we feel ourselves on that. Everyone follows us. Yeah, they following us straight to hell. For real. You don't have the luxury of mistakes. Don't have it. Everything you do has to be right. Everything. Now, when it is right, people are so amazed because the expectations of you are so low that you will really be able to achieve amazing things just by having your stuff together. Show up on time, and people are astounded. They are astounded. Should the expectations of black America be so low? No. Is it fair? No. Is it right? No. But that's what it is. That's image. Right now, our image is that of lazy, stupid people that never show up on time. So you know what? Show up on time. Break the mold. Understand not only what the world thinks of you, understand what you think of yourself, and understand who's controlling these images. When I was in high school, Queen Latifah was a black revolutionary. Now she's, bringing down the house. That's a big difference. Now, the Queen Latifah, who was a black revolutionary, was broke. Bringing down the house, Queen Latifah is rich. They call her Dana now. I really want you guys to understand that time is running out. And a lot of black people say that, but for real. part of why the civil rights movement has been so successful, and part of why those who have come after in terms of our leadership have been able to maintain a presence, is that black people have always had a certain amount of moral currency that we have been using. And let me be the first to tell you, that's used up. White America has been watching us act like fools for a long enough time where any sympathy they may have had to our plight is completely gone. You're approaching a country that, forget hating black people or not hating black people, they just don't care. You can be talking about affirmative action, they can be like, I don't care. It literally is of no importance to me. I don't care about slavery, I don't care about segregation, I don't care about you, I don't care how many of you all go to jail, I don't care at all, because I'm broke. You can't be the proud, noble fighter when every single time someone sees a person that looks like you on television, they're acting like a damn fool. How would they know? How would they know you're not a damn fool? They're gonna talk to you? Yeah, right. This is what we're facing. Now, this was not a very motivational speech because I'm not a motivational speaker. I gotta be honest. So wait, that don't matter to me. I'm a critic. That's what I do for a living. I'm not here to tell you you can do it, because you know what? Maybe you just can't do it. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real. I hope you can do it. I hope to God you can do it. You better do it. Because if you don't, will you suffer? Yeah. But oh, your kids are gonna catch hell. You guys are it. Don't think about Jesse, don't think about Al. They will not be there. And quietly, well, let me stop. It's on you. This is about as uplifting as I get. It's on you, it's gonna be hard, you better do it, and if you don't, I'm moving to Cuba. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Y'all give Aaron McGruder some love up in here. Now, for those